Welcome to another quick tip video to ease your workflow when you are using Cakewalk by BandLab. During mixing, when you are looking at your console screen, if you got lots of tracks and channels and buses, as well as the buses, as well as any outputs, hardware outputs, your screen can become quite filled up. And you'll be running back and forward trying to find the right track or the bus or the output. One way we can gain more space on our screen is to narrow the tracks. And there are two options for this. One is a global, where we can find it under strips, narrow all strips. Now we can actually see more for the same amount of space. 24 tracks. And of course we can widen them back again and we can see 13 tracks. So virtually doubling the space. Now this is fine for the tracks, but I personally like my buses to be wider because this is where I put all of my plugins and control. I like to have them wide. Well, we can have them wide by right-clicking and unselecting the narrow. And now I can actually select the ones that I want them to be wide, not to be narrow. Uncheck it. Giving me more space, more control, and easier mixing and workflow. More ways to minimize distraction on the screen so you can concentrate on your balancing or your mixing of your song. You can hide certain modules, like your tracks. I mean, you can certainly drag that across there and you can drag across there. Now you've got your mixer that shows the bus. Now you have your mixer that actually shows all your tracks. But there's an easier way as well. You can go to the strips and remove the tracks. Or you can remove the buses. Same as dragging it across. You've got that option there as well. In this example, I do have a 6-track for my drums, the kick, snares, and so on. And I've already done my balancing, and these 7 tracks go into my drums auxiliary bus. If you want to learn how I've done that, you can actually watch my previous video on Cakewalk by BandLab about tracks and auxiliary and my workflow. Now that I've done my balancing, and this is my only control that I need to control up and down its volume, I don't really need to see these tracks. Well, we can actually manage that as well. We can actually hide the tracks that we no longer need to touch anymore. We can use our Tracks Manager. Here, I can uncheck all the tracks that I don't need to see. Leave my drums auxiliary on there. Of course, I can toggle MIDI and synth and buses, all that as well, which is really great. This is another great thing to make sure that your track and your console are also synchronized. And I click OK. So now I have less. Note, the numbers don't change. They still stay 8 because they haven't been deleted. They're just hidden. And here in our track view, all we see is our auxiliary drums. If you want to see them back, you can select the Track Manager and we can bring them back. And this again will give us more room on our screen to concentrate on our balancing and our mixing. And finally, let's have a look at our metering options, because it is important to have a look at our meters while recording and during playback as well. You can see mine goes down to minus 39 dB. And this range and what gets displayed is my choice. I can right-click on it and change the range. Now I can see down to minus 24 dB. Now, why would you want to do that? Now, I'm going to be getting higher resolution, especially when recording or during playback as well. And more options are available under Options, Meters, Record Meter Options. I personally select Peak. minus 42 dB, and hold peaks. Holding peaks, I believe personally, is really great, especially when recording, so that if you did get any peak during your recording, it will hold it there and it will let you know. Otherwise, after a few seconds, it might disappear and you will never realize that you actually peaked during recording. And for playback, I normally select again peak, post fader, and minus 24 dB. But if you are doing more of mastering options, then RMS and peak will be a better option. And minus 12 dB is probably a better resolution. All depends how much dynamics you have in your song. And then of course we have our bus meter options and the hardware output meter options. So select the metering option that suits best to the type of music that you are recording. Obviously, if it's more dynamic, then give more range. But if it's less dynamic, then having less range will give you more resolution, so you'll be able to see small variations in the metering. Well, I hope these quick tips were helpful for you. Now you can have more space on your screen to fit more tracks and channels, as well as achieve a better result by setting a good metering option. Till next time, as always, thanks for watching and have a great time making music. Cheerio, guys.